Welcome, tree people, living trampolines, and people who will not stop sharing their memes, to the 189th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 4th of January 2016, and featuring The End of the World by Russell T. Davies, starring Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor and Billy Piper as Rose Tyler. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I knew that fucking 2016 was building up to something terrible.
Yep.
With me are Mad Matt Winchell,
I am Groot.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Always a pleasure.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
Finally, we're reviewing World's End.
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Happy New Year!
I'm gonna have to hurt you, honey. Really am.
I just realized my script said 4th of January 2016, and I probably said that, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Well,
No,
at least we're right on Twitch. It's the 4th of January 2017.
And then Bill and I both put it in, and it becomes 2177.
Well, yeah, we had to hop a train to the future.
We're going back to the future.
Are we going to save someone else from dying from the
Well, we're not
year
at the year
virus?
5 billion.
No, we are not at the year 5 billion, nor are we in Apple.
Actually, no, we're going to go back into 2016, abduct everybody that died, and put them into hospitals in the future, and save them, and they'll come back to life.
Well, I was
Magically.
going to talk about that after the news, but we could do it here. 2016, Jesus. Was like a serial killer left unchecked.
Yep.
Well, it's
I
no
mean-
surprise that Jason and Michael Myers are making a comeback.
But yeah,
sorry.
see, well, we have a big one in the news, so we might as well at least get through that.
All right,
Which I'm
so-
sure everybody listening to this has already heard, but we're
Yeah.
We'll get
still on
there.
us to report it.
Okay, so let's do birthdays really quick so we can get to the downsides. So we have a few birthdays. It's our usual crew for post-Christmas. First, it's Christopher Benjamin, known as Henry Gordon Jago, from the talent of Wang Chiang, turned 83. Happy birthday,
Hey.
Christopher. He's currently recording for Big Finish on I don't know how many series of...
Like the fifth or
Something
sixth one of Gordon
Like
Jago and Lightfoot.
13, and they've only been doing them for 7 years, so I guess they've been doing a box set every 6.
By next month, they'll be doing their season 50. You know, we don't know.
Right?
Apparently, they're just eating up that Jago and Lightfoot, so we'll have to
apparently.
hop on that bandwagon at some point and figure out what's going on.
Depends on. I wonder if it's because maybe they do more steampunky stuff, but I never thought that they
I
would
don't
do
know.
that.
I
I've
don't
never
think
really
so.
listened to Jago and Lightfoot, so
They're not really
Maybe.
steampunk.
Check that out.
I actually just
Jago and
started
Lightfoot do
listening
Doctor
to it
Who, the
recently.
Wild Wild West.
Ooh.
Well, Jago and Lightfoot is essentially their Doctor Who version of a Sherlock Holmes range, but more comedic.
Oh, that actually could work out really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
it could just be that's Victorian.
It's
It might
Victorian
be.
and it's funny. Go with it.
Yeah.
I got a Facebook notification on Chrome, and it pretty much just like destroyed my Discord. That's what Discording in Chrome.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Close
that's
Chrome, I
you're
guess.
flaking out a bit.
That's what I'm saying. I get one notification and Discord's just going in and out. So I'm gonna have to close Chrome altogether.
Joy.
Oh.
So while he comes back,
Moving on, the next one we have is Bernard Cribbins, one of our favorite actors from the Daleks' Invasion of Earth 2150, and of course Wilfred Mott from 217 to 2009 on New Who, Donna's grandfather.
and the man who created the song Right Said
Good old
Fred,
Bernard.
Yep. And the voice of the Wumbles.
and the voice
Don't
of the
forget the
Wumbles. Yes,
Oh, wow.
he's
Yeah,
he's
he
had a
turned-
varied history. He's done some really cool stuff.
Yep. He turned 89 on the 29th of December, so next year we'll hopefully be
You hope
Celebrating
it
his
be
90th?
Yeah,
Yep.
the big 9.
Yep.
And I think he's still as wry and rascally today as he was 10 years ago, and
I hope he never loses it.
yeah.
Because that would be the sad sign.
All right. The next time, the 30th of December, is a new entry to our list of happy birthdays to Vivian Opara.
Yeah, I want to say Oprah, but no, that's not right.
Yeah, I know.
Opara, who played Tanya in Class, turned 21.
Mm-hmm.
So really is the baby of our Doctor Who birthdays.
Wow, so she's 21, but she was playing a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's not unusual for
Nowadays, it's not unusual.
It's not been unusual for decades. I mean, look at the cast of Beverly Hills 90210 when they were airing it.
If she was playing a 14-year-old among other 14-year-olds, that's normal. But playing the youngest of the cast and actually looking it, and that's not as normal.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, I don't know what the age of the other cast members were either.
They were all in the 20s.
I don't think she's the youngest cast member. I think we recently covered a birthday of someone young.
Some people just
mistaken,
look
but I don't
youthful.
think that.
Mm-hmm. I
To
mean,
be
look how old
honest-
Johnny Depp is. That man's in his 50s now? He still looks like he's barely edging over 30.
I can't remember the last time I saw him that he wasn't heavily made up, so I couldn't honestly tell you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's using some makeup to cover some crow's feet in his eyes. So, because every time I see him, he has that Jack Sparrow eyeliner going these days.
I guess a bit, but that doesn't cover everything. Anyway.
Okay, so the next one, 1st of January, is Dave Martin, who is the co-creator of K9, not the creator, Bill.
I'm just saying, that's what his credit said. That's all I knew.
Yeah, he's the co-creator because the other one's Bob Baker.
Which one is the Dave Martin we're looking for? Older guy, I assume?
I would think so. He turned 82.
He died at 72.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I assume it's probably this guy. Glasses, tie.
Probably. He was the writer for the Three Doctors. He created K9 with Bob Baker, but that was really a collaboration. I think Bob was the idea man, and Dave penned the story. And I know it's Bob Baker that has the intellectual rights, because he's the one that did the K9 spin-off series. So.
Oh, actually,
anyway,
here we go. I think I got a picture of him now. Anyway, yep.
Anyway, yes, he's turned 82. He died 2007 at 72. And next would be 2nd of January, and Toby Hadoke, Forrester from Planet of the Giants, actor for Big Finish, turned 43.
And apparently a fan of the 4th Doctor, according to some of these images.
Good Doctor to be a fan of.
Yeah.
And finally, Deborah Watling, Victoria Waterfield from season 5. So we're talking Patrick Troughton era, turned 69.
Okay.
Victoria was only a companion for a season because she joined.
She joined
right after
Actually,
Jamie.
she did join the last episode of season.
Oh, right, yeah, season 1, but she was gone by the end of season 2. She joined in Evil of the Daleks.
Right.
But she was gone, I think, the episode before.
Yeah, the
Wheel in
episode
Space.
before the finale of season 5.
Yeah, before Wheel of Space.
Yeah, she was very quickly mentioned in the finale, which was previous episode things.
Yes, and that's where they picked up Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the companion until
for
the end of the Second Doctor era.
For running for only a year, more or less, she was actually a pretty popular companion for a while.
Yeah, I wasn't very impressed with her in Evil of the Daleks, though. She basically just kind of stood around and screamed.
No, yeah,
it's a Dalek story from the 60s.
In Evil of the Daleks, they didn't really give her anything to do. Enemy of the World, I think she had a pretty good role.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. We watched Enemy of the World too. Okay.
a lot of her episodes are missing, so I couldn't. But I know
She
there
was
was
in
definitely some
Toon.
writing issues.
And she was in
Mainly,
Tomb of the
like,
Cybermen, where she
Strangle and
was
Scream.
she did a lot of good little things with the Doctor there.
But she really was Doctor Who's first Scream Queen.
Yeah.
But she did more than just scream, which is where they went wrong with characters like Mel.
Carol Ann Ford had a lot of scenes where that's all a lot of episodes where that's all she was supposed to do also.
Kind of, sorta.
But hers was the fact that her last episode, her screams were actually used to kill the plant life infecting the base they were on. So she's the first scream queen.
Just keep screaming.
Just keep screaming.
Because this isn't driving the audience up the wall.
So Deborah's only 69. Is she actually up to anything?
Is she like in Big Finish at all? She could come back.
I think she's done a little bit for Big Finish, but not a lot.
Probably not much, because they tend to do single person stories for the second Doctor more often than not, and Fraser Hines is pretty much, they have hot and cold running Fraser Hines.
Because he can also do a spitting image of the second Doctor in voice.
She hasn't done anything recently. I thought she had done one of the Companion Chronicles. But just one. She apparently was in the Doctor Who audio drama Three's a Crowd. And she's a regular Doctor Who conventioner, going to all the conventions and the events.
She's at least a conventioner.
She appeared in the Five-ish Doctors reboot.
Oh, cool.
Oh, good.
Huh.
I never actually watched that. I should probably sit down and do that.
Yes, you should. It's an excellent little thing. I would have to watch it again to see where she was. Yeah, she was in that. She was in Downtime in 1995.
She was in the episode that will not be named.
Dimensions in Time?
You're not supposed to name it. That's why it's called
not supposed to be named.
I just wanted to make sure.
Shh. It's only a model.
You're the kind of person that sees an anthill and actually has to take a stick and poke the anthill, aren't you?
We used to throw M80s into anthills.
Yup.
Because that's cool. Really.
Well, just teaching the ants to fly.
It rules.
Fly away, high away, bye-bye.
All right, so that seems to be mostly what she's doing. And that's really the end of our birthdays. So from birthdays, we're going to go to the Lost Stories bit, and then we're going to talk for a moment.
Yeah. All right, so we've got.
I'm pretty sure we're talking with the elephant in the room. Yeah.
Yes. Let's just go right to it. Oh my gosh, Carrie Fisher passed away at the age of 60. Let me just make sure on what was it, the 27th, just a couple of days after Christmas.
2 days after we said she had a close call, all of a sudden the close call came back.
Yeah, she had a heart attack, or that's what was reported on many news sites, is that she had a heart attack on a flight from London to LA, and was, I believe, unconscious or unresponsive for 15 minutes on the plane, and then for another 15 minutes on the ground, they performed CPR until they finally got a pulse and everything. So,
technically, what they said that she had was
a cardiac event,
which
literally just means that her heart had
something have. Yeah, there is no. That's not actual medical terms. So,
but there were a lot of headlines saying "heart attack" in quotes. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, if you don't actually know if it's a heart attack, stop using that word because it's already misused.
I'd say that of all the deaths in 2017, this is the one that hit me the hardest.
Yeah.
Because Nimoy was 15, right?
Nimoy was 15. No, the only big Star Trek related death this year was Anton Yelkin.
And that was
Yeah, and
depressing
I mean,
too.
which was a
tragic
crying
as he
shame.
was. Yeah, as tragic as he was, that's not on the same level as a Nimoy, a Fisher,
It is
any of the
because he was the
doctors.
new Chekhov. Trust me,
But that's what I mean.
Nimoy's death didn't hit me half as bad as Yelkin's because
Yelkin-
Yelkin had the potential to make more things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the
I mean,
potential that made more
I'm sad that
shocking,
Yelkin
but
died.
yeah,
I'm, like,
Yelkin wasn't
muddling.
yet as iconic. He was not iconic
No,
as Chekhov.
He
yet.
wasn't one of the figures that generations have grown up with as
Yeah.
as one of the faces of sci-fi.
no.
Carrie
but
Fisher was like childhood.
Carrie Fisher was a double whammy because yes, she's the iconic, but she was in the middle of making stuff. It's like
Right.
Elizabeth Sladen's death.
Mm-hmm.
She was iconic from her role during the Fourth Doctor era, and she was still in the process of making Sarah Jane Adventures.
Right.
So you got both the loss of the iconic and the loss of future upcoming stuff. And she had just announced that she was going to make a series of audios with the Fourth Doctor, and those never came to be. So it was all crying sad.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Fisher's the same way because now we know that they've said her filming's done for episode 8.
And she'll be in that for sure still.
And she
But-
apparently had a very big role in that.
But that means that she will not be in episode 9.
Right. So yeah, there is some wondering of whether they're going to pull an Ambassador Spock with her or whether they're going to do reshoots for 8 or what happened with
Yeah.
that.
Reshoot her with a body double and put her into a horrific accident so that they can use a body double without having a face. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what their plans are. They're probably still trying to figure that out themselves.
Right.
They will. It's like someone had mentioned before, and sorry for any Rogue One spoilers. Trying to warn you.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if I should mention.
So we'll just mention it quick here that it is possible to bring someone who's a character whose actor has passed on long before now through digital means, like a digital feed.
We've known that.
We've known that for quite
yes,
some time.
but they actually do it in Rogue One. They
Yeah.
actually do it and make it work in Rogue One.
For the most part, yes.
And
For
it's
the most part.
It's worth noting that of the opinions I've seen expressed online, Matt is the first person other than me not to say about that looks completely terrible.
Well, we saw it in Tron Legacy too.
There was also used Tron Legacy. I still haven't seen Tron Legacy, but I heard the same thing used there.
It didn't
Oh
look
my
that
God,
bad.
Matt!
It didn't really look that bad in Tron Legacy. But by the way, we haven't seen Rogue One yet.
And Tron Legacy was half a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that
It's
means
been
that
on my
we've had
to-get
5
list. I
years
haven't
of
found it at a decent price yet, so that's why I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
For me, we haven't gone to see Rogue One because my car is still dead.
I forgot about that. It was me and Miles that talked, not me and you.
Yeah, it's my car is still dead. We are taking steps now to have that taken care of on a permanent basis.
Yeah.
I've inquired
Hopefully.
on a new
I'm hoping
battery.
they don't go that route for.
I hope they don't, but if they do, I hope it's just for small bits, just to ease the transition out.
To like fill in whatever needs to be filled in for episode 9.
The equivalent of having the Wampa scene to make up for Mark's car accident type deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
I know George Lucas would approve, but then George Lucas wanted to replace all of his actors with CGI.
Apparently.
Really? Where'd you guys hear this?
It was something that something Lucas said, I think, following Return of the Jedi.
Huh,
I mean,
Was
weird.
that his ideal filming environment would involve no sets, no actors.
Oh.
Which he
I think I might
got
have
about half that
which
done when he made the
explains
prequels.
The prequels.
Yeah.
But it is noteworthy that apparently in Attack of the Clones, about 50% of the time Obi-Wan's on screen, CGI, not the actual actor. So it can be done right, but people notice when it's done poorly. They don't notice when it's
Yeah, it can't be done right on a budget yet.
right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But really, I mean, this Carrie Fisher's death was the end of a triple whammy for Star Wars fans this year. Because there were 3 very noticeable deaths in the Star Wars universe, or as far as actors. The first of which was the voice of Admiral Akbar, died in May, I believe. Then there was Kenny Baker, who was the person inside R2-D2, died in August.
And I think he had already retired from acting.
Yeah, I know, but
he
it's
had
still...
given it one last go for the last one.
Yeah, no,
so.
I mean in terms of his mobility probably being
an issue, and then he got sick, and then look what happened.
Yeah, but that's still, having all 3 of those die in the same year. That's kind of a ill omen. Star Trek only had Yelkin's death, and Doctor Who really kind of came off pretty clean. We had some minor people die, but we didn't lose any doctors, and we didn't lose any companions.
Oh
making up
wow! We actually have someone in our chat here. Ninja, you know who my favorite doctor is? Favorite doctor is Doctor Who. You guys have any real jobs? Okay, just a troll, whatever. When someone in the comments starts complaining about do you guys have any real jobs, goodbye.
Yeah.
And yes, some of us do. Anyway, continue on.
That is why we are doing a podcast at the middle of
at this hour of the night. Yeah.
Because we do. But yeah, I guess let's move on to the next one, which is definitely very related.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good joke there. Well, try to lighten the mood anyway.
Anyway, joke really.
Hey. All right, so Debbie Reynolds, who is the mother of Carrie Fisher, died on the 28th, just one day after her daughter had died, at the age of 84. So, fortunately, Debbie had a little bit of a longer run, although I don't know if she was really involved with anything major. Obviously she was involved with Singing in the Rain, but what other musicals and stuff was she involved with?
Debbie Fisher, she was fairly big in her time.
Yeah.
In her time, yeah.
Debbie Reynolds, you mean?
Or
Yeah.
Debbie Reynolds, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I just remember her mostly for Singing in the Rain. So.
Let's see.
And she was the voice of Charlotte in Charlotte's Web.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Charlotte. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. The Affairs of Dobie Gillis. How the West Was Won. The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Oh, she was also in Oklahoma.
Halloween Town? Oh.
So yes, she was very, very big. In her day, but that was several decades ago. But as a mother, it's very hard losing one of your children. It's very if you outlive your children, it's a very hard shock on the system. I know it killed my grandmother after my father died. She lasted, I think, 3 months, but still. It's something, and that was my grandmother. That was her second son that she had buried. So,
that doesn't help.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I think she was already kind of precarious health, and then Carrie died, and it just kind of took her over the top. Supposedly, one of her last things that she said was that she missed Carrie. So. Yeah. I would say one led to the other.
Yeah.
Definitely feel sorry for Carrie's daughter and brother.
Yeah.
Having to bury both of them at the same time.
Well, and we also have one more to go. So moving on.
All right, so last one here is going to be William Christopher Father Mulcahy on MASH, who died on the 31st at the age of 84. So he also had a fairly long life, and obviously being on MASH, so he's got quite a lot under his belt there just from that show alone.
Yeah, he was in several things. Nothing really sci-fi related, but this is notable as it's the last celebrity death of 2016. He died on the last day of 2016 and was the last person of note to die. He died of carcinoma, so he had. He was also one of those that was probably killed by the work around him.
Worked himself to death. No, not really.
Yeah,
No.
he was actually part of a ongoing stage group too, and I know he's passed through Wisconsin several times with it. So,
and I mean, he was a big guest star on a lot of American culture in the 60s and early 70s, and MASH just became the biggest thing on TV throughout the entire 70s. I mean, it was the equivalent of American Idol was, in the fact that it was this juggernaut that could not be stopped.
It's kind of like the Waltons before it.
It lasted 3 times as long as the war it was set in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have a series that, I mean, it was a popular movie in 1970 that did not involve Christopher, by the way. Someone else played that role in Christopher, or played that role in the movie. But then MASH went on to make, 9 seasons? 8 or 9 seasons, 251 episodes, 11 seasons. And he was there throughout most of it. I think he started a few episodes in when they as a bit character and became one of the major characters.
And isn't the series finale still like the highest rated series finale of all time?
It is one of the most watched. Yes, I don't know if it still has the number 1 spot, but when it aired, it was the number watched thing on television in recorded history. It was a big thing, and he was how old when he died?
84.
84. So he got to the good run age, but still he didn't die of natural causes, so that's sad. And it's, the final thing that 2016 just kept the year that just kept taking. I mean, I'm pretty much the entertainment industry, both musical and acting, has just been gutted this year by the amount of people that have been forced out. And, big name, small name, it took everything.
Pretty much.
And I'm done talking about it now because I'm going to get upset.
It's depressing to go on about, and yeah, these 3 are more than enough for now.
We are now at the point, due to the fact that it's easier to become a celebrity now and to be heard of by other people, and the fact that there are simply more older people now than there ever have been. We are getting to the years where it's going to happen more and more frequently, but
sadly, that's very possible. Yes. Anyway,
I'm sorry. A year that takes both David Bowie and Prince. Yeah.
That's a sad year. And hi, Romeo Moon in the chat. So moving on.
Yeah, moving on. I believe that's Tim that's up with some news.
So, data released by Barb says they have the official ratings of The Return of Dr. Mysterio, and the official rating is 7.83 million viewers.
Damn.
Jeez.
The rating is 2 million higher than the initial overnight figure, and it includes all those who recorded the program and watched it within 7 days.
It is a slight spike up from last year.
Yeah, I know.
I had 7.69 million.
I had guessed a 7.43, so I lost the contest.
That's actually a little impressive when you consider the fact that Doctor Who picked up no new viewers this year due to not airing.
Yeah.
It was competing against Emmerdale on Channel 4, the movie Home Alone, and BBC Two was showing a repeat of the Morgan and Wise show. And Australia was The Last Dragon Slayer.
So it really didn't have much competition, which was in its benefit.
Yeah, but imagine if it did have competition.
If it did have competition, it might have been at the number I said.
Yeah, possibly.
Which meant I would have actually, won the competition.
What was your estimate?
7.43, I think. It might have been 4.6. But it was 7.4 something.
Just if you're curious, it says the most successful Christmas episode was Voyage of the Damned.
Which is also the one that had a cliffhanger leading into it.
Yeah, and that just barely edges out the next Doctor, which was 13.1 million. End of Time had a 12.0. A Christmas Carol had 12.11.
Looks like River Song was the lowest.
Yeah, at 7.6. It
God
is the
damn
lowest.
you, Romeo Moon. That chat right now. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, that was the actual low point for Doctor Who Christmas specials. This one's still not much better. It's still flagging down there.
Right. But again, there was no Doctor Who this year, so any improvement at all is, pretty good luck.
Yeah.
And it's had pretty low ratings for the last 3 years.
Oh, and it looks like we had another link for it, but it does look like the audience appreciation index is.
It is.
The audience appreciation index of The Return of Dr. Mysterio is 82.
Oh, nice.
I was born in 82. So that's
82 is pretty much in the middle to low average AI for.
If you look at it, it's also the same as the Last Christmas and Weddings of River Song, and one below. What was the one before that? Was that? I don't even remember what. That one was Snowman.
It says
Really?
the highest score of the evening was 88, and that went to Call the Midwife. BBC
But
One.
Doctor Who regularly rates in the 82 to 84 range. That's pretty standard. It's not very often we see Doctor Who go above or below that.
The Christmas specials that were higher were The Next Doctor with 87, Doctor Widow and Wardrobe at 87, Doctor at 86.
Well, what was that last one, Bill?
The Next Doctor.
Okay. And what was the first one on the list then?
The first two that were that were tied for the highest were I might have said The Next Doctor twice by accident.
That's kind of why I was trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
What
the
the
end
hell
of
are you
time.
saying? Where are we now?
Sorry, I'm just going by the picture that's on the bar graph. So, but it was The End of Time.
Okay.
7.
And I know the End of Time had a. Actually, yeah, it looks like the Next Doctor had 86. End of Time had 87. So, and that's odd because there's a lot of negative backlash on it on End of Time.
Oh, this is The End of Time Part 1, which I
Yeah, it's mostly part
don't know. Yeah, I think Part 2 has most. And they would have rated it separately. It's not like a rating by a podcaster like us that would combine it.
All right.
How did I get a can
But if you notice,
tracking and trading?
actually, the last 3 Christmas specials have been the lowest ever a Christmas special got rated for Doctor Who at 82.
Oh, by the way, Illuminati confirmed in the chat.
Chat Romeo.
So,
By
yeah.
by the way, Romeo Moon, would you like to say hi to the person you're trolling?
Hello, Nick. How's it going? I have unfortunately not been paying at all to any attention at all to the news.
Of course.
These guys have been rambling about numbers, and we're just like, poke the troll, poke the troll. At least it's some sort of activity in the chat tonight.
Okay, so moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, that's you.
Oh,
Bill.
I was out of the window for just a second, and my news was on a different page of our news document. All right, so this is books. The Doctor Who Illustrated Adventures competition is, according to DoctorWhoNews.net, looking for artwork. They're looking to publish images to illustrate the 100 favorite Doctor Who episodes as listed in the book. They must be submitted using the template on the Penguin website, and winners chosen by the Puffin design and illustration experts, as well as members of BBC's Doctor Who brand. At least 25 winners will be chosen, but it depends on the number and the quality of the entries. As many as all 100 could be chosen from entries.
So wait. The art department of Penguin Publishing is called Puffin?
I think Puffin is...
I'm trying to think. Is their shipping department Albatross?
No. The name Puffin is familiar to me, which makes me wonder if that's just like a different imprint with the company.
Puffin Books.
Oh yeah, it says will be published by Puffin. So Puffin is the name of the imprint that's publishing it. Penguin is the overarching company.
That's because
Albatross still stands.
Penguin is huge. It bought I forget what it bought. That was a major U.S. company. That was I when I heard that Penguin had bought it, I was just like, what?
I think what you're referring to is that I think on the UK side, I think Penguin and Random House might be one.
Yes, they are Penguin Random House. That's what it is. And no, it's not just the UK side.
It's not
Penguin
just the UK side?
Yes, they bought Random House.
Okay.
Lock, stock, and barrel.
See, back when I covered news on a Star Wars blog, I would have found that and reported on it within. Now I'm a little out of the loop with that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So the winners will be chosen based if those that, according to the judges, depict or capture the chosen episode most creatively and attractively. And if you win, you will receive 2 copies of the book. There's no mention of monetary compensation.
Okay.
Well, it's either that means there's either not going to be. You're just going to have the exaltation of having your.
Matt, you want to look up the "You Have Died of Exposure" meme?
Or you're going to have a contract afterwards. I can't tell you which.
You will be paid with exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That can go rotten hell.
At first I was like, oh, this is an exciting opportunity. But if they're basically paying people an exposure and 2 copies, that's a little disappointing, and I would expect
a little bit better from a big publishing
It does
house,
say
yeah.
full details can be found on the Penguin website. So if there's anything Doctor Who did not mention,
it might be found
like
there.
Monetary compensation, that would be the play. So don't condemn them unless you. Especially since I'm very slow at opening things while Discord is running because my bandwidth.
Bandwidth keeps tanking every 5 seconds, yeah.
There's a lot of fine print.
Yarr.
But that's it.
Are we talking like Ferengi print? The stuff that's so small?
No.
Freaking
You
magnifying
can read it.
glass?
You can read it. Just you can't skim it.
Mm-hmm. So moving right along, some Big Finish.
Yep. There's a couple of things in Big Finish. Big Finish is adding a new category to its releases. This is non-Doctor Who, but it is sci-fi, and it is kind of important. They are adding the works of H.G. Wells.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, H.G. Wells is a Doctor
Nice.
Who character, so he counts.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't. That episode doesn't count. It was a shitty episode and a bad joke.
Yeah, I will admit it was a bad joke.
Hey, if you don't count shitty episodes, then that would mean the Sixth Doctor and Mel both never happened.
And I'm fine with that. No. That would skip Paradise Towers, and that was a good episode. But that's really it for Mel. The Sixth Doctor had a couple of good episodes, but by and large can be missed. Sorry,
Jonathan
Colin, your work
Moore.
on Big Finish is much better, but your work during the actual Doctor Who, I'm sorry.
He agrees.
Please don't try to leave. I've already locked all the doors and windows.
Okay, so their first major work that they're doing from H.G. Wells is The Invisible Man. Adapted
Featuring
by
John Hurt, which I believe was once the Invisible Man. I think.
I don't know what.
I don't know.
We'll
So
I don't think so.
Unless I'm thinking somebody else.
I think you're thinking somebody else.
Anyway, hello,
Hello,
Space.
Space Knee.
Yeah, Space Knee. We got someone else
Okay.
in the chat. Hi.
So the description is: in the midst of a snowstorm, a stranger arrives in an English country inn seeking solitude. Soon, inexplicable goings-on at the Coach and Horses bring fear to the village. Two very different men, the scullery Dr. Camp and gentleman off the road, Thomas Marvel, are drawn into terrible events beyond their understanding. A man named Griffin has defied the laws of nature and is about to embark on a reign of terror, for he is the Invisible Man.
Dun, dun, dun.
There is a trailer. I did not realize this trailer was out, so I didn't watch it prior to the podcast.
But it's John Hurt, and I can usually trust Big Finish to do some pretty good stuff. So it's probably going to be interesting.
This is the beginning of a line, by the way. So in March, they will be releasing The First Men in the Moon, also adapted by Jonathan Barnes, and starring Nigel Planer and Gethryn Anthony. Mr. Bedford has an extraordinary tale to tell, a tale of discovery and adventure, of bravery and sacrifice, and of strange creatures beyond our world. His story begins with a chance meeting in the English countryside. Professor Cornelius Cavor is a scientist, a visionary, and a dreamer. But in Mr. Bedford, he finds the practical partner who can help him realize his ambition. The two are thrown together on an impossible journey, and together, Cavor and Bedford are destined to become the first men in the moon. May is The Shape of Things to Come, adapted by Guy Adams and starring Nicola Walker and Sam Troughton. Isn't that Patrick's either son or grandson? Might be.
Might be.
Not a name I've heard.
Also, they will have an adaptation of the Island of Dr. Moreau in July.
Ooh.
He's
And-
David Troughton's son. So
So he's grandson. I thought he was. I thought Sam was
Grandson,
somewhere in that line. I just didn't. I didn't remember if he was a younger son or grandson. I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
I knew it wasn't a son because there were just the two, I believe. But yeah, he's grand.
So yes, the Island of Dr. Moreau in July, and then Mark Platt will be doing the script for The Time Machine in September, and Nicholas Briggs will be doing The War of the Worlds in November.
Nice. And yes, Space Me, I do know what TARDIS stands for. Time and Relatively Demented in Spain.
Okay, so each release is £12, 99 pence download, $14.99 for a CD version. US fees are probably going to be about $13 for download, and I would say 20 to 25 for the CD version. For the next, actually, when did this news article come out, Bill?
That was the 31st. So if
Then I'm not even going to ask that offer because that offer ended 2 days ago.
Ended 2 days ago. Yep. So moving on.
So moving on, we do have something from the Doctor Who section of Big Finish, and that is the trailer for Doom Coalition 4.
Oh dear.
Coming in March, Doom Coalition 4 will be the conclusion to the series. 5-disc set starring Paul McGann, Nicola Walker, Hattie Morahan, Alex Kingston, Rufus Hound, and Mark Bonar, and many, many more. There was a trailer for this, and I did listen to this one, and we are not amused.
No.
Matter of fact, after one person's reaction, I believe it was Bill's, all of us suddenly had to go, okay, we gotta listen to this. And I believe the general reaction was all,
It sounds to me at least like the 8th Doctor visiting Series 6.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the eighth Doctor. If Stephen Moffat wrote for the 8th Doctor.
And the 8th Doctor can go visit Series 6, come right back, close that time and space dimension off, and never come back to it again, please.
Now, if you're a huge fan of River Song, that might be good for you, but
it's kind of showing
not what we want from our Big Finish.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't mind River Song by herself, but it's River Song and Weeping Angels.
It seems like she's going to be a major player in this, and that concerns me very much, especially considering if it's a line in the trailer, it's not really a spoiler. She talks about having killed the Doctor and such, which sounds like a grand speech to make her the leader of some sort of group, which does not fare well for the fact that, considering the Doctor is not going to remember her at all.
Yeah,
since I forget. I don't remember if I heard this in the recording or not. Did you guys mention that in her recently released box set she meets the 6th and 7th Doctors?
I believe we've seen that one. Yes.
Yeah.
That bothers me, because if she met the 6th and 7th Doctors personally, why did the 10th Doctor not recognize her when they met in silence?
They each appear in 2 of the 4 stories. There's one in the Diary of River Song 2. One of them has 6 and 7, one has 6, and one has 7.
So they're really kind of retconning the history there in a way that I don't find pleasurable.
Right.
Because I really liked what we saw on TV because it drew the whole River Song cycle to a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're talking husbands?
Yes. Yes, we rewatched that recently because it was on just prior to the Christmas special this year on BBC America. And I still like the way that one ends and draws all its allegations back to Silence in the Library.
That, and there's also the episode, You're Younger Than I've Ever Seen You Before, which clearly is not the case if she's going back and meeting all of his younger selves.
To quote Zim, you're lying.
Yeah, it just hits me as somebody who's writing for Big Finish is doing this wrong.
Well, it doesn't help that Moffat muddled it up too, so...
That doesn't help either, no.
It seems to me like the marketing and budget department might be dictating who appears in the story.
Now, if they had a storyline that involved River Song, and the 2 were moving separately from each other on the same thing and never actually met, I could deal with that. I mean, I've seen that kind of thing before. It's not the greatest writing. They did it in Star Trek Enterprise when they met the Ferengi and when they met the Borg, but they made sure that they didn't know who they were and it wouldn't have been recorded so that people would know who they were when they originally met them in Next Generation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you do that kind of thing, you have to write it very carefully. And this is definitely not writing it carefully. They're not thinking of ramifications. Which is a little disappointing coming from Big Finish, who has done some really quality work.
Yeah, this is the first one that I've kind of gone, I'm not sure I'm going to like this at all, actually.
Honestly, this trailer kind of sours me for, I wasn't buying Doom Coalition anytime soon, but definitely, down the line after listening to Dark Eyes and such, I had planned on picking it up. This kind of sours me on that idea, because if this is the conclusion to Doom Coalition, I don't really know if I want to start it.
Kinda, yeah. Also, I see the friendly chat has been picking up now in the chat room. Hello.
Oh.
Space Knee and Romeo Moon are chatting it up a little bit. Well, we've been talking about Doom Coalition.
Yeah. I'm still talking to Nick, too, in a private chat, but yeah.
Has Nick started to behave himself a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I think Nick is just a decent person, but
we just didn't catch him at first, but he was also being rather needlessly boisterous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've already covered a couple things in our general banter. We talked about the killer year that is 2016. And now, Bill, you weren't here last week due to a lack of time on your part during the day of Christmas, which is understandable. It's a family holiday.
Right.
So now that you're here, would you care to give your opinions and a retroactive rating for the return of Dr. Mysterio?
Well, Unit had no red berets, 1 out of 5. Okay, that
seriously
felt very well, but
no,
that's the biggest complaint that I had while watching it was the lack of red berets. I generally enjoyed the episode, and I think you guys encapsulated that, because I did listen to the podcast as soon as I got the chance afterward, and I like the tongue-in-cheek tone. I do think I half groaned, half laughed when they mentioned, I forget what the role of the characters were, but there was Miss Siegel and Miss Schuster or whatever.
Oh,
I liked the characters. I liked the fact that the doctor did not act. Matt Smith's doctor would have ended up being a babysitter for 30 minutes of this episode, and I'm glad that didn't happen, because it would have just felt like a drag. Like it was wasting time. There might have been funny moments, but it would have it would have dragged the episode.
Time with shtick.
Yeah, and this never felt like it was dragging. It never felt like slapstick for more than a few seconds at a time. Generally enjoyed it. And I would say 4.5, as the majority of you did.
All right. It doesn't move the score much, if any. It might move it a little up the 4.6s, but it's not going to...
And that's only because we don't do incremental decimals.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we did, I would hate to sit here and go, and this one comes in at a 4.6831297.
Kill me! I hate my life.
Yes. I'm not Data from Star Trek, where I have to do the minute decimals.
Well, you see, this episode is not as good as a 4. This episode is a 4.01. It's not as good as a 4.1, but it's better than a 4.
Yeah, that would be the point where I'm like, I hate you all.
Or as one webmaster once mentioned to me, if you're going to do that, why not just rate it out of 100?
Yeah. That's kind of the way I feel, is I didn't want to have it that technical.
Mm-hmm. Well, the chat's still going, and Space Need asked Romeo Moon mostly who's the favorite Doctor. I will add in a little bit too. For Classic, it'd be a tie between 3 and 4, and for New Who, it's a kind of a tie between 10 and 12 right now. They both have their great moments.
I say the same for New, and 7 for Classic still. Although the more audios I listen to, the more I'm leaning toward 8 and 6. But I would still, I'm still just from TV alone, just a huge fan of 7, and 6 and 8 are just catching up.
Spoons.
4 and 10.
Yeah, Brandy's always been straightforward. 4 and 10.
And 3 and 12.
3. Okay. But you haven't seen much 4, have you, Tim?
Catch up on 4.
Yeah, we need to catch you up on 4. You've seen a little bit of 3, though. 3's pretty fun.
I've listened to more 4 than I've watched at this point.
That's a bad thing, Bill. Anyway, are we done with news then?
Oh, we're done with
Or
news.
well,
wow, we've got,
are we done with the update then?
Yeah, we were doing we're at the we started at 15, right?
Little after, but not much. Yeah, we're about at the hour mark.
by the way, guys, we've got like 6 people watching us
Yeah,
on Twitch.
we got a little audience all of a sudden tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Hello to all of you, even the quiet ones.
Well, it's time that we stopped dealing with the news and got down to business anyway.
Just about, yeah.
For the
Are we
lower
going to
half.
defeat the Huns?
No, Tim. No. Because that would change a fixed point in time and may destroy the universe.
No, they have to do it for themselves.
Okay, so we are down to our 5-minute challenge, or in
I
this
feel like
case,
Rand
probably...
specifically said that so that we would not follow the song.
Yes, I did. Because that would take more time than I would allot for this. We do have the majority of us here. We're still down Miles, of course, but that usually means it's going to take us about an hour between this to get through our review in order.
There's about.
So we'll see. It's only in 1 hour episode, so it may not take us that long. Anyway, our 5-minute challenge, or in 1 hour case, 2.5.
Mm.
Who's up this week?
Who is up this week? I know. Wasn't it Randy? You did it last time.
Yes.
You did it last time. I think I did it the time before, so I think it's technically up to Bill and Tim.
Bill, you were absent last week. Your penance.
Penance.
Um,
Penance.
yeah. I can try.
It's not like it goes
do
all over the
not.
place. Trust me, it's a pretty straightforward episode. Are you ready, Bill? As ready as you're gonna be.
All right, let me put away my distractions. Because I've
Put down your lightsaber. Put away the Sonic.
I've been breeding Sandygast and Wonder Trading the whole time we've been talking. So, all right, I'm as ready as I'm gonna get without rewatching the episode and taking.
And taking notes for yourself. Okay.
You've got to learn to be spontaneous, Bill. The rest of us pull this pretty much, out of nowhere when we do this. You have to take intricate notes.
Gotta stop with the notes someday, Bill. Ready? Start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Doctor and Rose decide to go into the future, and the Doctor wants to impress Rose. So instead of stopping 200 or 300 years in the future, he goes to the year 5 billion, where he shows Rose the Earth being destroyed. They then go on to the guests at this fabulous luxury event, which include the Face of Boe, who is hosting the event, the adherents of the repeated meme, who are apparently Facebook. They don't actually repeat any memes. And Cassandra, who claims to be the last human, but is basically a human skin with consciousness. Also, Jabe, a tree person who gives the Doctor baby Groot. Rose goes off on her own because she doesn't know why she went off with a stranger and is semi-depressed, and talks to baby Groot. And meanwhile, and then Jabe tries to find out what race the Doctor is and is shocked to discover he's a Time Lord. Meanwhile, metallic spiders start destroying all the electronics and including primarily the heat shields on the station, and kill the only member of, or not the only member of staff, but one of the 2 members of staff that we actually see.
Actually, both members of staff.
They kill them both? Okay.
Yeah. The plumber lady and the steward, both.
Yep. There is some running around almost dying, which I can't think that would definitely need notes to capture that linearly. And also somewhere in there, the Doctor and Rose have an argument because Rose wants to know who the Doctor is, and the Doctor is all depressed because of the Time War and doesn't want to talk about it. They realize then that they have to reset the main computer of the ship to save anybody. So the doctor goes and does that. In the process, Jabe dies of heat, and the doctor resets the computer because obviously, even in the future, you have to turn it off and turn it back on. The doctor gets pissed off and damn it. This is I skipped the part where the doctor figures out that Cassandra is behind the robot spiders.
And the adherence of the repeated meme.
Yes. And so he brings her back and effectively lets her die due to lack of moisturizing, even though Rose asks him to save her. And then they go back to the present.
I go out for chips. The end. Alright. Despite a little bit of stuttering there, Bill, you managed to do it in 3 minutes, 28 seconds.
And yeah, I was laughing.
I knew I wasn't talking very quickly, so that's why I was sitting there, trying to skim over some things to get it within time.
And I was laughing in there because I had literally sent Matt a message earlier today going, "Damn it! You should have done the opening bump, splicing in scenes of Rose talking to the plant
and Baby Groot dancing."
The only reason I wouldn't have suggested that was because I was thinking this was going to be a Carrie Fisher tribute week, although what we actually did do works just as well, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I wouldn't have suggested an episode bump.
Yeah, I would have suggested the bump actually been done to the theme from Jaws, just because I feel that 2016 is
But yeah, there
killer
was
shark.
one specific scene where she's talking and she's like, and I'm talking to a tree. I'm Rose. That's sort of a plant. Maybe we're related. And I'm like, and that's where I would have spliced in. I am Groot.
Yes.
I am Groot.
Yes, we
It
have.
just-
Just talking to Space Need really quick. Yes, we have seen Torchwood, and most of us have actually seen the first episode of Doctor Who from '63.
I've seen most of the Doctor Who that was aired classically. I've seen all of Torchwood,
Seen most
all
it
of
as well.
Sarah Jane Adventures.
The only Torchwood I haven't seen is the animated online only.
I haven't seen the last
I've
two
seen
specials,
most
and
of
I'm
that.
hearing that I'm glad about it.
Oh, Spacey actually has a really good point. Is that technically Boe, or as we all know now, spoiler alert, Face of Boe is actually Jack Harkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not.
Maybe
Maybe
is
not.
interesting.
That it's implied in one of
Yeah.
the episodes, but both Russell T and Stephen Moffat have said off camera that was a joke and that was not to be taken seriously.
Oh,
So
lame.
basically, it's a maybe not situation.
It could be Captain
Okay.
Jack
It-
just
it-
giving
you
the Doctor
decide.
Lincoln a nudge.
Because Spacey has a good point, is that if that's the case, then the Face of Boe is actually the last human.
Oh,
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
kinda.
So there are 3 humans on this ship, and none of them look like the same species as one another.
Pretty much.
All right, so we're gonna go on to our what we liked, what we disliked. I have not actually rolled order today. I'm a lazy boy today.
You're
I
falling
thought you
behind.
normally
need to
do
roll
that
down.
while we're talking anyway, because last time I tried to read it
I-
off the
I-
screen,
I've
you told
been-
me I
I've-
was wrong.
I try to do it ahead of time. I often fail. The thing is, I had plenty of time to set up today, and I didn't. So, boo me. Probably because I'm half distracted by a bunch of other stuff I'm trying to do at the same time. Anyway,
Everybody's got dyslexia today.
Matt, you're first.
I am first. The hoster of the channel is first. So general thing I really liked. I liked all of the aliens. There was a lot of interesting aliens, and this was, I think, the first episode this season that really went into that. And they just went in there as hard as they could head on. And I don't think there's a single one that actually looked in any way really shoddy or cheap or anything. They had a lot of practical effects, in fact, running around in there. I think the only major digital effect was Cassandra herself, and they do her limited enough that she comes off as effective despite being an obvious CG piece of skin.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's only one episode before this, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Rose's CGI special effects, and there are kind of dodgy at best.
Yeah, they're a little cartoony.
The Autons costumes were more or less okay.
Yeah, they were more or
But
less
Except
effective as
when they were
Autons
trying to
supposed
look
be.
like a specific person.
Except for when they were trying to look like a specific person. There, they really should have had the Rubbermaid stamp on them.
Yeah.
But honestly, it looks like probably most of the budget for that filming block was spent on this episode. Because some of the costumes, the trees are beautiful. The Face of Boe, the Mox of Valhoon, who you didn't mention in the thing.
Oh,
Bill.
yeah, Mox, yeah.
Yeah, because there wasn't really
I
anything
remember the Mox.
plot-wise that I could really say.
Yeah,
Spit in the eye.
but yeah, they looked wonderful. A couple of the other minor aliens got the really fake face treatment that you'd expect from a Doctor Who. But
this episode was
overall,
definitely
the important aliens.
the special effects showcase of what New Who was capable of, and for that reason, I've seen it compared to the Web Planet. Was kind of that for the 60s.
Kind of, sorta.
The Web Planet was more of an art house piece.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, this was obviously, this is what we can do now. This is beautiful. It still didn't feel. I'll talk about that later. So Matt, that was yours. Bill, you're next.
Okay. Well, that was one of my two, so I'll go with the other one, and that is remembering, as Rand mentioned, that this was the second episode of New Who. I think it did a good job of conveying a lot of the sci-fi aspects, including that of the Doctor's, alien identity and such, to the audience, including myself, who had no idea what the show was about, and it shows about this is what going to an alien world is going to be like on this show, as compared to, say, Star Trek original series, where you'd land on the planet of humans wearing funny hats or something. It really demonstrates this is what sci-fi aspects of Doctor Who are.
Well, it was. Yeah, although it's ironic you would think that, because, of course, the entire first season of Doctor Who, they never left the solar system. They never really left Earth.
Sure.
I mean, Rose, modern day Earth, End of Time, future Earth, Unquiet Dead, Earth in the Past, Aliens of London, World War III, modern Earth, Dalek, slightly future Earth, technically across the country, but in the United States, but still future Earth. 7, Satellite 5, orbiting Earth. 8, Father's Day, past Earth.
I remember we did a breakdown of a few seasons that way once, and it's like, I think they only leave the solar system like 2 or 3 times in the RTD era.
Yeah, he was very big on bringing things to Earth.
Even in the Moffat era, they don't really leave Earth.
They leave it a bit more. And at least we began to see more outer space exploration in later RTD seasons. I mean, we go to New Earth, which is technically another planet. We see the planet of the Ood.
Does Girl on the Fireplace count?
No, that's a spaceship.
Earth past, and actually
Right.
part of it is a spaceship. Yeah.
The Impossible Planet is the first time, and that's episode 8 of next season. The next time after that is Oh, that's true. And we forget there. I forgot about New Earth. So there's New Earth and Gridlock, but
Anyway.
But yes, by and large, Russell T loved the Earth. But yeah, this was a bit of this is how you're going to encounter aliens. This is how you're going to deal with them. All right, Tim, you're next. What did you like about this episode?
I really liked Christopher Eccleston as the performance. I could tell that by this time he had really started to settle into his role as the Doctor, and he did a good job of keeping it close to his vest. You know, the pain of being the last survivor of the Time War. While giving out this the lightheartedness of that you expect from the Doctor.
Well, this is the first point where you see that lightheartedness is a facade hiding the pain behind it. You didn't get that in the first episode. He seemed a bit happy-go-lucky, a little snide and sarcastic. Because he kind of comes off as, this is my job, I don't necessarily have to like it when dealing with the Autons. And I guess you do get to see a little bit of the pain when he's talking to the Nestine consciousness. But this is where it really goes into depth on, this is who I am, this is what I do. This is, there was this huge major war that caused all the other Time Lords to die. This is where you first actually start getting into that meat that became the cornerstone of the series for the next 4 or 5 seasons. Really,
and I think that actually starts in this episode with actually is it Jabe or Jabe? I forgot how you actually pronounce it.
Jabe.
But with her saying I'm sorry for your loss or something like that when she realizes he's a Time Lord, and that kind of is what starts that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you get a bit of it in Rose where he's talking to the Nestine, and he's like, I couldn't save them. I couldn't save any of them. But you don't really fully get the understanding until this episode of the gravity of that loss, the magnitude of it. And here you get to understand that.
And this
is a man who has lost everything.
Yeah, and some of the blank, angry stares, you can tell is pretty traumatic for him.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you don't get the focus of that until Dalek, but still, it's nice to start feeling it here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Aaron.
Favorite thing, general.
Yes. What did you like about this episode overall?
Plenty from the chat.
Overall. I actually kind of liked Cassandra as the villain. Anyone mentioned that yet?
Nope.
Not
you weren't even listening, were you?
No, I was. I'm chatting.
She's chatting up our viewers, so.
I'm chatting with our viewers, and I'm also trying to give Richard advice on how to set up a Twitch stream. And also, Nick finally went to bed, so. Sweet dreams, Nick.
Sorry for the rough opening, but you kind of opened it up on yourself. Anyway.
Yeah, Cassandra has that kind of the classic villainous feel.
She is kind of a classic villainous in that she, I don't know, she's got this kind of suave kind of feeling, but then she's also, like, she's literally only skin deep. That was a terrible joke.
Yes, it is.
But in some regards, she's almost classic and almost to the effect of almost being kind of similar in ways to the Rani. Kind of, sort of, a feel.
Was at least the scientist.
The Rani is more of a scientist, whereas Cassandra was in the same vein, but more of a thief / murderer.
I mean, their similarities is in the sense that they're both sort of like racial supremacists. The difference is that the Rani is from a highly advanced species that kind of sees, anything that's not one of the oldest species of the universe as being a lab animal, whereas Cassandra is essentially
Anything not human is not human
a member of
anymore
the
by. Yeah.
mixing of the races is horrible and such and all that.
Unless pure, and there's no other human. F all of you.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, the actress is Zoe Wanamaker, and she is that's kind of the role she does. Is the evil, conniving character.
Wasn't she in
And-
Harry Potter?
Yeah, I was actually trying to figure out what her role was in that.
She was the teacher that taught them how to ride brooms in the first movie.
Oh, that was more of a laid back role for her.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that's a little unusual for the one role I know of her from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of what her stuff, and she's been acting since the 70s and the early
Oof.
70s at that.
Hmm.
And she's been doing theater.
That's a lot to do.
She's a very, very big actress. And has been for decades. So, I mean, she had a repeating role in Poirot, by the way. For those of you that know the David Suchet Poirot movies from 2005 to 2013. She actually was in classic Doctor Who prior to this in the episode State of Decay. She played a villager.
Okay.
So she's had, and her awards, she's won awards from 1979 through 2006. So she's,
So the year after this.
yeah, she's huge. She has a CBE, by the way. Order of the British Empire. So, yeah, she's a very big actress. And I think I remember the Doctor Who Confidential that they wrote the role of Cassandra with her in mind.
Mm-hmm. To at least get her voice for it.
So, yeah, she's a very big, very memorable character. So much so that they had to bring her back for New Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that takes it to me about what I liked. And I really like the feel of this episode.
Actually, that's a good question. What species are Cassandra's minions? They don't really cover them that much.
No, we honestly don't know.
They might be.
They can't be
They,
human.
they might be like Patch from.
Yeah,
from
that's
the second
all I
one,
can
which
think
means that
of
they're
is
like a
that
replicant or something.
They're like a
Huh.
construct replicant, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Either
so,
that or she hired some form of alien help, but she seemed to prefer these constructs like Patch, because she mentioned Patch as her favorite.
Yeah. So
her
these must
favorite
be
design.
a humanoid construct then, most likely.
We don't know that for certain. We can only guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It would have been nice if you could if one of their masks had gotten knocked off and they could be revealed as cyborgs or
Or
robots or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Which is the other possibility, is that they were completely artificial. Either way. She
Mhm.
does refer to them as her boys, so.
So there might be two Patches at once, just hiding undercover.
Yeah, we don't know. We also know those things can spit acid, so that might all have been
With
perfected
their
here.
hoses, yeah.
Anyway, so what I liked about this episode is I really liked the feel. It reminded me very much of something that Douglas Adams would write. It has a very Douglas Adams tongue-in-cheek feel to a lot of it. And oddly enough, this is written by Russell T. Davies, who's not known for writing really good episodes. He's good at writing overall story arcs, but his individual episodes tended to be a little lacking.
And I mean, and what's been referenced is that he tries to, force in, extra comedic things like that. So it might just be that this episode is perfectly his wheelhouse.
Yeah, he tends to go for the zany.
For example, the writer of Daleks in Manhattan mentioned that the pig slaves were RTD's introduction to the script.
Yar.
And I actually didn't mind the pig slaves that much, but in retrospect, they don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that Russell T writes in that doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll get to that later. But what he did write was the snappy, witty feel that made this feel like an Adams thing. A little things like the announcer voice, the things the announcer voice said, and a few things the steward said. Just absolutely felt like something that would be in an Adams novel. Oddly enough, this didn't make it feel like Doctor Who to me, but it felt enjoyable. All right, so what didn't we like about the episode?
Oh boy.
And Matt, you're up first.
Didn't like. Actually, one thing I will say for the visual effects is that the spiders were a little touchy sometimes, visually. Sometimes they worked perfectly fine, other times you could really tell it was just kind of meh CG.
That didn't bother me a lot.
Yeah, it's me digging for nitpicks, but it's a nitpick that popped up more than once, as I recall.
With everything else in this episode, this was a huge budget episode.
And this was a huge budget episode, and the fact that if it was any bigger, I'm pretty sure it would have appeared more often and may have become a problem. But
if they were going to have to
tame it down just enough.
Yeah, if they had to skimp somewhere, a few bits and pieces of the spider animation, I think, was acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, how about you? What didn't you like about the episode?
The capabilities of the technology vary drastically depending on the narrative needs of the scene.
Yeah.
For instance, how quick the shields could raise and lower. Realistically, the way the saving the day scene happened, everyone should have died.
Yeah, because it would have taken time for everything to fix itself.
Right, and that frustrated me upon rewatching. Also, the fact that, the shields, or various pieces of technology would every 5 seconds, every like half a second would yell what was going on. I'm just imagining if the thermostat in my job, or if I had a home thermostat that did that, and it would drive me completely insane if it went up 2 degrees and yelled temperature rising.
True. At the same time, you do want it screaming at you if the freaking sun shield is lowering and you're about to get burned to a crisp. Personally, I would love it if my oven yelled at me when it reached the correct temperature. Some ovens do that. Mine don't. We have to guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mine actually turns the light off, so you don't realize that because it's technically not on, but it is also on, so you don't realize. It's a little confusing until you get used to it.
Yeah, the one in my old apartment, back when I lived in Middleton, when it reached the correct temperature, it would go beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, okay, time to put the pizza.
Mine just has a light that tells you that it's heating, and once it's no longer heating, the light goes off. And
yeah, that's
you have to remember that the oven's on.
If you listen very, very carefully in a quiet room, you can hear the light go click.
Yeah.
But if you have the TV on,
or
even talking to somebody else, forget it.
Pretty much like me, a fire oven.
So I would love technology that talked to me a little bit.
Mm.
I would not want it to talk to me about every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
But still, if something as big as energy field going down, you're all about to die.
Right.
Yes, I want it to fucking scream at me.
You're about to cook like Hot Pockets. Get out of there.
All right. So, Tim, what about you? Something you didn't like about the episode?
Rose.
And,
and the doctor said it himself said it. You're a bundle of fun.
At the same time, I mean, she's basically getting her first real touch of time shock.
Yeah, but still, it's like My mom is dead. It's 5 million years. Yes, it's 5 million years. You yourself have been dead by this point.
Still, the Doctor doesn't choose the best choice of locations to break
I have to
into.
wonder if I'm trying to remember when did Tegan first go to the distant future?
And that whole thing where the Doctor explains about the TARDIS and the psychic translation, and the Rose says, "Oh, so I've been violated." Is like that's a negative spin on it.
In her defense, she was in a bad place there. And the Doctor, like I said, did not choose the greatest locale to introduce Rose to things. Yes, Rose, we can travel in time. By the way, here's the day your planet dies.
Mm-hmm.
And I blame the Doctor for this because, of course, he's still suffering PTSD from the loss of his own world.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, it was giving him a way for her to relate, for him to relate to her and vice versa. Still, not where you want to go on a first date.
Nope.
No.
So she's suffering the fact that she's basically about to watch the planet she was born and grew up on die in a ball of fire, dealing with the fact that they're aliens. And I actually, there's some parts of that I really like where she's looking at the custodian or there and going, he's blue. And that particular line just hits me as being very much the I'm in shock kind of thing.
Right.
And yet
she expects to wake up and be in her bed any second.
Yes, exactly. I thought she did a remarkable job of bouncing back when she's talking to the plumber lady.
That was good, but the other scenes I mentioned, like, this is just me. I just find it off-putting.
She had her moments and her other moments.
All right, Aaron, how about you?
Something that I didn't like.
Well, you're saying, thanks, Space Uni. He's now saying that we are now his favorite stream.
Thank you.
We apparently got some fans reached in today. Anyway.
Sweet, yeah. It's really nice.
What you didn't like, Aaron?
I kind of feel like there was kind of it was more about what they didn't go over, and I understand they totally didn't have the time to do this, but I kind of wish that we had gotten to learn a little bit more about some of these really kind of cool looking alien species and stuff. And
I feel that if they had been popular enough, they would have gotten their own episodes to deal more with them later. Unfortunately, like, the Mox of Valhoon was killed in this episode, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The Face of Boe, we did get to see more of later. I would have loved to see more about the trees.
Yeah. The trees would have been nice to revisit by now, since they were
we
obviously
might,
friends with people.
and you know, if somebody wants to put that little bit in Chibnall's to-do box, we would really love to see a little more of the tree people.
Especially since
give 'em a
there's
little
probably,
reminder.
we mentioned Baby Groot a lot. There's probably a tree person growing in a storage room in the TARDIS right now.
Quite possibly. Might be full grown by this point.
Actually, yeah, considering how much time has passed for the TARDIS,
there might be a whole
series 1 and series 12.
There might be a whole
there could be
civilization hiding in the TARDIS.
Yeah, there's a whole forest in there by now because it's been around about 1,000 years.
Right.
Just the Doctor rounds the corner one time the wrong way, and all of a sudden he just hears, "I'm Groot," and walks right back out. I need to clean out that forest. Closes the door.
Say, I need to land on the planet of talking raccoon people.
I need to talk to my friend Howard about removing some trees.
Okay. So, what I didn't like about the episode is, while you have some of this modern technology, they deliberately go back to some scenes of having this retro feel, which, in the scenes it's located in, was really stupid to have. The thing about going with a retro look, it's looking like that on the outside while still having modern technology to an extent on the inside. For an instance, having an iPod with a retro look would make it look like an old-fashioned Walkman or Discman. but still function like an iPod. But here, they get into the bowels of the space station, and the doctor goes, yeah, wow, cooling system. They must be going for retro. That's not where you have retro. And the thought that the entire space station is cooled by these gigantic fan blades is just kind of stupid. And that was kind of a writing gaffe of him wanting something for...
excuse to do something later, yeah.
Yeah, and, when it comes down to it, that boils down to bad writing. I hate to say it, because I'm usually more of an RTD fan than I am a Moffat fan, but yeah, that was...
that was essentially a Chekhov's obvious gun.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think our general consensus is if the story editor is doing the writing and has nobody looking over his shoulder, it's usually bad writing in one way or another.
Yeah, but that's why every good story runner needs a number 2 that's not just licking his boots, but will actually look at his script and go, dude, you're not doing this good. Look at this, think about this. And then the writer has to have the story runner has to have enough good gracious to go, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll take this home over the weekend and redo it and bring it back. Basically let your number 2 act as number 1 when you're the one writing.
Yeah. But also, I would add that even despite all that kind of issue, RTD still does it a little bit better than Moffat.
Uh-huh.
Moffat usually leaves some pretty glaring holes once in a while.
Yes. So we're going to move on now to scenes that you liked. What was your favorite scenes? And again, Matt, you're number 1.
I get to pick first.
Yes, you do.
I bet you I'm going to step on somebody's toes, but I'll go with when Jay brings up the Time War to the Doctor.
That was one of mine, but I had a backup. We'll see if my backup is chosen.
That was Eccleston just flexing that acting muscle because he went
yes.
He just went very quickly from haha adventure to I'm very depressed now to let's get back to adventure now.
Yes. And that was one of the most amazing things about Christopher Eccleston.
Oh yeah, he did that very well.
He could flip like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could actually you didn't even have to have a cut scene to have him do it. You don't see it as much here as you do later on in Dalek. Mm-hmm. But yes, he does these emotion flips, and you can actually see the expression change on camera. He's very talented in that way.
Mm-hmm. Also, a little bit from the chat again. Space Knee was asking where would we be if we didn't have Doctor Who. I would be trying to figure out how to fill in my Wednesdays with something else, and I probably wouldn't have a favorite sci-fi show right now.
I'd probably still be doing weekly Star Wars articles.
I would probably be talking about looking forward to Star Trek Discovery. Ugh.
I'd probably be more of an anime fan, possibly more of a science fiction or fantasy. I think Doctor Who kind of walks the line in between, so I probably would have chosen probably fantasy over everything. So
also, he's now watching us while hugging a TARDIS pillow, which makes the traveling sound.
Anyway, Bill, your favorite scene.
Oh my gosh. I want that pillow.
I'm probably going to say the scene of Rose talking to the cutting of the tree, because that scene kind of sold the episode in terms of relatability to me. And as a result, considering where the episode plays, it kind of sold Doctor Who as this thing with, an actual person that is in some ways relatable, and that scene is...
All right.
Just shows how bonkers things can get some days, yeah.
All right, Tim, how about you?
I like the very end when they go out for chips. And
damn it! That was my number 2.
Chips.
Do you smell chips?
And the Doctor stiffs Rose.
Yeah, whether the Doctor has money or not kind of varies from regeneration to regeneration.
Yeah.
Because this is the same Doctor that in his 7th incarnation just threw a bag at Ace and said, here.
Right.
Go buy food.
And
the seventh Doctor probably did the 11th Doctor's favorite trick of nip forward, check the lottery numbers, buy a lottery ticket.
Technically, the 10th Doctor was the one that really coined that one first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I said 11. Yes, because Donna was a Doctor. So
Donna did that, and then he did it to the teacher in School Reunion in Series 2 as well.
That's right, in order to get her
10th
out
Doctor
of
is also the one
school.
that decided to steal money from the bank. As I recall, with a Sonic.
Oh no, that was Eccleston. That was episode 7.
No, the 10th Doctor did Christmas special.
Ah.
Donna needed
Yes,
taxi.
but Eccleston did it first.
Oh, still.
And he did it again. It's
But
a
yes,
recurring thing.
I could definitely see the seventh Doctor doing both of those.
Space Neat asked, how come the Master's become a girl and the Doctor hasn't? Writers. That's pretty much it.
I honestly feel that them doing that to the Master is kind of their on-trial thing to see how it goes over.
Yeah.
And it's gone over pretty well. So
Hopefully.
as far as it's concerned, it's anybody's bag now.
Okay, where was I? Because I keep getting...
I did mine, I believe. No, we were up to...
That was Tim's, I believe.
Tim. Yeah, we're on Tim.
Okay, yeah, and then Tim got mine. So, Aaron, what was your favorite scene?
Have we mentioned Jade's heart-to-heart with the Doctor while they're, like, kind of going
Yes,
through...
that was the first
mine.
one.
That was the first one? Okay. So, then I actually, I have a couple of them, but I kind of like Ruffalo, the Crispallian. Well, we actually learned a little bit about her. She's the, I think she's the plumber or something like that.
Yes,
She's gotta
she's the
go
Something
through.
like that, yeah.
She is the plumber.
So I do actually like. She's only in a little bit of the scene with Rose, and of course the spiders kill her. But we kind of learn a little bit more about the Crispallian people and stuff like that. I kind of wish that we'd seen a little bit more of that.
Yeah, they could come back
throughout the
anytime too.
episode.
They're
But, like,
actually
the whole
an easy race
idea-
to pull off. They're mostly makeup.
Yeah, and it's like the whole idea is that Rose has to give permission for Ruffalo to talk, and and is it kind of like a military thing where she's like in service of some kind of army where she has to, other species or maybe other guests at the station are seen as higher ups and they have to give permission to talk?
I think it's because she works at the equivalent of like a luxury resort, so she pretty much is to be, not seen, not heard.
Unless the people really want to talk to her.
Avoid it.
Yeah, it could also be like a species thing or a cultural thing,
That's also possible as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Crispallians is another one that we just saw and never saw again, which is, again, sad.
Which, again, with the tree people, you can bring them back anytime.
Yes.
We'd like to hear more about them. They're interesting people.
To do in your list here, Chibnall.
We're writing the list. Checking it
when is
twice.
our next
Checking it
stream,
twice.
Our
Our
next stream is going to be the 11th?
It's basically Wednesday nights at 10-ish is when we stream.
Mm-hmm.
We generally take a break off between Christmas and New Year's because we do a double stream on Christmas Day. Or we do a stream on the Wednesday and then we stream again on that week. And then we take a break at the end of our season, which usually is about 25 episodes.
But usually
and then we just take a break to redo credits and just catch our breaths.
Usually we restart roughly about 2 hours ago, and we do this every Wednesday. About 10 Central.
About-ish. It usually takes us about 10
a little bit late, depending
minutes.
on setup, yeah. Anyway,
yes.
Thanks for joining us, Space Knee.
We were up to me, and I'm floundering because you took all mine.
We took all yours.
I think actually the blow up between Rose and the Doctor. Where they have that point where it just becomes the uncomfortable silence. And then Rose diplomatically, says, yeah, okay, rule 1, don't don't piss
Argue
off the
with the
designated driver.
Yep.
Yeah. And they have that makeup moment, because that actually seemed to be fairly authentic to me, where you'd get upset with somebody, have the argument, have the uncomfortable silence, and that seemed to be fairly authentic to me, so I liked it. Tim be damned. Okay, so we go from our favorite scene to our least favorite scene. What scene didn't you like the least? What made you roll your eyes the most?
I actually have one preset for this, so this one's actually going to be a quick one for me.
Okay.
So the one scene that really irks me the most is when the shield was going down on Rose and it nearly nuked her, and then it goes back up. For one, that room should be so boiling hot that she would have died of heat exhaustion in there in a matter of minutes. For number two, even if she didn't die from the heat, she should have possibly died of cancer in a couple of years because of all the radiation that was probably in the room.
Yeah, but as far as we know, that the next night after she slept, the doctor waved the screwdriver and fixed her right up. So
Gave her an IV with antidote to stop any kind of cancer. Yeah, as far as we're aware. That's possible, but still, the whole not roasting alive thing.
He stuck her into the zero room for 30 minutes.
Yeah, they don't have a zero room anymore.
They
But
don't have a zero room anymore, yeah.
It was, they got back to the TARDIS, take 2 of these and have a good night's sleep. You'll be fine in the morning.
Also, have a go at the buffet. We have a buffet on the TARDIS.
Which is funny, because when they first started the series back in '63, they didn't even have a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the 3rd Doctor probably had the TARDIS create one during his reign, and the 6th Doctor brought it up to an art form.
Yeah.
He seemed to be the type to like his food. Okay, so Bill, your least favorite scene.
The scene where the doctor's about to save the day, and he stops and meditates for a few seconds.
Oh, damn
just
it,
to
Bill.
make sure it's as dramatic as possible.
The thing is, when I first watched this episode, I loved that scene. Now, because of the campy retro bit, I don't like it as much. However, with him actually stopping to meditate like that didn't bother me because of the way I interpreted it when I saw it, and that was just the fact that he was trying to kind of desynchronize himself with time.
Yeah, essentially he was trying to, since he's a Time Lord, he's trying to sync time around him a little bit differently so he could step forward without risk.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what Russell was going for, because what I thought and what Russell intended to do was normally on the same page.
Yeah,
I never got that level of synergy with Moffat.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't getting that synergy with Moffat.
All right,
except for the whole Superman parody thing.
Except for that Superman parody thing, which actually went rather well.
All right, Tim, how about you? What was your least favorite scene? And yes, you can take somebody's favorite scene if you really didn't like that.
No, I didn't really have a least favorite scene, so I'm gonna pass.
Okay. Aaron?
So least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I think the scene with Britney Spears' Toxic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that took mine.
Yeah. That was just that went to music video levels of kind of bad.
I think I actually laughed out loud the first time that I saw that. I don't know.
Everything else, the jokes leading up to that were good, but then the actual song, I'm just like,
Yeah.
This time I was more laid back because I knew what to expect. But the first time they were like an iPod and bring out the jukebox, and I laughed. And then they were like a classic ballad and brought up the Britney Spears, and like that's amazing.
Actually, a classic ballad. I would have preferred anything from the Guess Who, from Queen, even AC/DC at this point.
Yeah,
but none of those would have been as funny.
Oh, I'd argue that they could be just as funny.
Back
in Black,
I
suddenly
get the
plays
joke.
on the space station.
You say that, and Fat Bottom Girls popped into my head.
Yeah, no, the joke is a classic ballad and having it be today's shit. I mean,
Right.
that's the joke.
Right.
So you do something like Back in Black, that's already a classic.
Yeah.
Freaking Soft Cell Tainted Love, which they used earlier, is a classic.
Mm-hmm.
So the joke is that their classic ballad is today's modern shit.
Which makes me sad.
They're basically saying they're
come off
basically
as
saying
funny.
if
It makes
it's
me
old
sad.
enough, it's a classic.
Yeah, any piece of crap aged enough will become a classic.
Yeah.
Not really.
It's just in the case of Britney Spears, it's going to take 5
Or at the
billion
very
years.
or I mean, I kind of see it in a little more, and I don't know if this is what RTD would go for, but I think so, at least, kind of Robert Holmesian way that, everybody around is listening saying that's crap, but nobody wants to say it because it's 5 billion years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also kind of feels like it was kind of a grab for a younger audience. It was trying to bring in, even if that younger audience hated Britney Spears, they'd see the song and they would be like, "Oh my God, Doctor Who is playing, Britney Spears. It's actually kind of, into my age."
Too, because this season is so like if you look at analyses and such, this season everything about it is centered in 2005. Like you can't escape when this was made.
Yeah. And that's kind of typical for Doctor Who. We see classic Who series, and a lot of them are very grounded in, like, especially the 60s and stuff.
Not to the extent, because a lot of those old 60s and 70s specials still hold up well today.
Right. I mean, obviously, there's things about culture that changed during that time, but this brings up very specific pop culture references.
It's not like the episode of Star Trek, the original series with the space hippies.
Yeah.
That one pretty much didn't last 5 years before it became passé.
Yeah.
And it does not hold up well today. Most Star Trek does. That one episode doesn't. There's a few other ones, but that's beyond the point.
Say Spock's brain.
Spock's brain was crap when it came out, and it's crap today. That hasn't changed how it dates. But there's not much that you can, other than that episode in particular, that you look at it and go, that's so period. Now, if you look at Lost in Space or something else of that same era, like 60-70% of that is that's so period.
Yeah.
And same with Batman, because it was deliberately made with that 60s 70s camp and cheese.
Yeah.
But and yes, I mean the Batman TV series with Adam West, yada yada yada.
Anyway.
But a lot of the Doctor Who that we see, some of it confines to certain era of writing styles. Like you see that dystopian future that was very big in Britain during the 70s and 80s is prevalent during the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. But those episodes don't confine to that period. You don't look at this going on and going, oh, yeah, that's so 70s. Unless, of course, it's taking place in Unit in the 70s. But even still, it's still less period-centric and more. You don't see the Doctor going to a disco in the 70s. No, you don't see
but he wore a disco in the 80s. That Technicolor coat.
The closest I would say in Classic Who was the episode that was about a Margaret Thatcher proxy, but that was also set in the future on an alien planet.
Yeah.
So a little here,
and yes, you can read some of the subtext that applies to period, but you can't look at it on its face value and go, that's so period. Yet this particular episode does have that Britney Spears, and you automatically recognize it as being mid-2000s.
This and Bad Wolf are the main.
The Bad Wolf also shows its age a little bit with the shows that are involved in everything. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and since this kind of covered where things were going with mine, I'm going to skip my worst scene because it was already covered. And we're going to move on to final thoughts because we are running out of time.
Yep.
So, final thoughts, Matt.
This is an episode I've seen quite a bit, actually. I think I've seen it 6 times. Fairly good story for the most part. There are a few little quirky things, but they're very little and minor compared to the overall story, which was actually very well done and very interesting, especially giving us the groundwork for future sci-fi episodes. Done.
All right. Bill.
I'm going to say this episode, looking back on it, I did not like nearly as much as the first time I watched it. I saw a lot more writing flaws and just things that annoyed me. It's not a terrible episode, and it is, especially in terms of the effects and the fact that it had a lot to do, fairly good. But just in terms of as a standalone episode, there's a from being as good as I originally felt it was.
All right. Tim?
I think this is the episode where Christopher Eccleston really took off. I liked it overall, despite my mixed reaction to Rose. But other than that, I thought this was a solid episode.
All right. Aaron?
I actually liked this episode more after I watched it this time. Randy mentioned that it was very much like Douglas Adams, and I was able to pick out a lot more items in the show this time that kind of resembled his work. And not necessarily Doctor Who either. So, I enjoyed it on that level. As Doctor Who, I'm not quite sure if it's really all that great. So.
All right. So, yeah, this was the episode that I was really excited about when I saw it, when I saw the special effects and the Douglas Adamsy writing and everything. I loved it. I loved it then. I still like it now, but I feel the episode is beginning to show its age. Not in the special effects, but in the writing style. Russell T Davies was fond of camp, and I am not as big of a camp fan as I was in previous eras. And there are parts of this episode that really shine, mostly those with Christopher Eccleston showing some of the pain. But a lot of the quirkiness of the episode, I feel, has kind of gotten worn a little thin over the last decade. So while I still like the episode, I don't think it's at the pinnacle that I used to think. All right, ratings. Matt, you give first vote.
A lot of people kind of floundering on it. I still rate this about 4. It's not perfect, but it's still relatively good, despite showing a little bit of its age.
All right, Bill?
I'm going to say a 3.
3. All right. Tim?
I'll side with Matt and say 4.
Aaron?
I'm going to say a 4.
And yeah, if you'd asked me for today, I would have given this a 4.5, but I have to push that back to a 4. Which is going to with...
I'm the only one that went below a 4?
Yes, you are.
Oh, wow.
Lobie.
Way to be a hater.
Yeah.
We hate.
Remember, 3 to me is an absolute average episode. It is one I neither like nor hate.
Mediocre.
Yeah, it is the epitome of mediocre. And like I said, I still like this episode. So I can't say, oh my God, I hate the episode.
I can't say I hate the episode, but I can definitely say that the goods and bads balance out too.
So you've pushed it down to a 3.9. And unfortunately, I did not set this up ahead of time. 3.9 will take us in the rankings to... Ooh, not a lot of 3.9s. It would be, I would say, about 87 out of 184 episodes reviewed. It is in the same field as Warrior's Gate, Into the Dalek, Blink, The Next Doctor, The Chase, Gardens of the Dead. It is better than Ghostlight, and it is worse than Vengeance of Varos. So that's where we stand. What?
Liked Varus a lot, apparently.
Varos rates at the bottom of the 4.0 pile. It is at 4.0, almost a 3.9. So it is basically the definition of a good but not great episode. At 3.9, this is above average but not good.
Well, I think it is time. Take us away, Bill.
Well, if you enjoyed the if you enjoyed the episode, please go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch so that you can listen to future ones. You can also go ahead and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Unearthly Podcast and Unearthly Pod, for news and updates. And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast and do so there.
All right. So next week, we continue looking at the Face of Boe and his appearances on Doctor Who as we skip forward a season to the very beginning of Series 2 and the beginning of the reign of David Tennant, as we will review New Earth, starring David Tennant and Billie Piper as Rose Tyler, and I believe written by Russell T. Davies again.
Mm-hmm. It's a season opening. It's probably Davies.
So catch us then next week, 10 p.m. Central-ish.
And I need to remember how Cassandra came.
See you all next time. Good night.
See you. Thank you.
Nighty night.